When did someone finally get what they deserved? My mom remarried this dude Greg when I was 17, and I swear from day one he was putting on the biggest act. First few weeks, he was all, "Yes, ma'am," and "Thank you, Mia," and bringing my mom flowers. Real Prince Charming stuff. But once he moved in, different story completely. He started calling me lazy for staying home to study. Told me I needed to get a job and pay rent even though I was a senior in high school. My mom worked her ass off cleaning houses, and he'd come home expecting dinner on the table like she was his personal maid. The worst part? He kept bragging about his house and how he was the man of it now. Except my dad, who died when I was 15, had paid off most of the mortgage. This was our house way before Greg showed up. When my grandma passed last year, she left me $3,000 for college. Not a fortune, but enough to help with books and stuff. Greg found out about it and suddenly became my best friend again. Started talking about how smart it would be to invest in the family home and how we could build wealth together. I told him no thanks, that money was for school. His whole fake smile dropped and he got this look like I just slapped him. That's when the real Greg came out. He started locking me out of the house when I came home from my part-time job at the library. Said I lost my key privileges since I wasn't contributing to the household. He'd hide my mail, especially anything from colleges. Once I caught him going through my backpack and throwing out my textbooks, claiming they were cluttering up his living room. My mom kept making excuses for him. Said he was stressed about work, that he was trying to teach me responsibility. I could see he was wearing her down too. She started looking tired all the time, walking on eggshells around him. He controlled the money, made her ask permission to buy groceries. It was like watching my strong mom turn into a ghost. I didn't scream or fight with him though. Instead, I took some of my grandma's money and went to see a lawyer. Found out something real interesting. My dad's will left the house to both me and my mom. Greg's name wasn't on anything. He'd been living in our house, acting like he owned it, when legally he had zero claim to it. The lawyer explained how we could handle this. My mom would need to file for divorce, and we'd need evidence of financial abuse. So I started documenting everything. Took pictures of him hiding my mail, recorded him yelling at my mom about money, saved his nasty text messages about how I was a burden on his family. My mom finally snapped when Greg threw away my acceptance letter to community college. I found it in the trash, all ripped up. When I showed her, she just started crying. That night, I told her everything the lawyer said, showed her the paperwork about the house. She couldn't believe Greg had been lying about owning it this whole time. We spent the next month quietly getting everything ready, changed the locks, opened a new bank account, gathered all our important documents. Greg had no idea. He was too busy bragging to his buddies about how he'd landed a woman with a house and was teaching her spoiled daughter some life lessons. The day we did it, Greg came home from work expecting dinner like always. Instead, he found his clothes in trash bags on the front porch and the locks changed. I was sitting on the steps with the divorce papers and a restraining order. My mom stood behind me looking stronger than I'd seen her in months. He went ballistic, started screaming about how this was his house, how he'd invested so much in us, how we couldn't survive without him. I just handed him the property deed with my and my mom's names on it. Told him he had an hour to get his stuff or we'd call the cops. Turns out Greg was broke anyway. All his big talk about money, he'd been gambling on sports and losing. Couldn't even afford a lawyer for the divorce. Had to move into some crappy studio apartment across town while my mom and I got our house back.